In this week's Forge tutorial, we'll be making a one-string slide guitar known as a diddley bow. While the diddley bow is obviously not a true guitar, it does have all the components of other acoustic stringed instruments, like the body, the bridge, the neck, and the string. Here our body is a can, and the neck is a piece of plywood. As we travel up the string, we also have the nut, which is where the strings would rest on a typical guitar or other stringed instrument, and our machine head or our tuner. All of these will work together to vibrate the string, which vibrates the air within our resonator, which is the can. For this project, you'll mostly need supplies you can find laying around the house, like an old piece of scrap wood. This is just an old piece of plywood, about 2 feet long, but you can experiment with various lengths. You'll need a can or old plastic container to serve as the body of the instrument that will resonate the sound, and a couple of wood screws to attach that body to the neck of your diddley bow. An old bolt or piece of dowel rod works great as a nut that will help raise the string off the fretboard a little bit. You can purchase a machine head online, or you could salvage one from an old acoustic instrument you have laying around, or you could use a hook and get creative with something to wrap your string or wire around. You'll need several size bits, and I've listed the ones I've used here: a drill for drilling holes, and 2 size screwdrivers, a standard screwdriver as seen here, and not pictured a smaller jeweler's screwdriver. We'll start by drilling the holes in the body of our instrument, and in this case I'm using a can. We'll pick a side of the can and drill 2 large holes about 2 inches apart. These sound holes will not only let sound escape the body, but they will also help us get our screwdriver in to attach the body to the neck later. You could also clamp the can down if you don't feel comfortable holding it while you drill. 2 tools not pictured were needle nose pliers and a metal file. This will help if you want to clean up your holes, and when using a large bit like this on metal, the holes do get a little messy and leave behind some shards. Once you're satisfied with the safety of your body, we're ready to move on to drilling our bridge hole. Unlike other acoustic instruments that may have a small piece of wood for the bridge, this bridge will actually be a part of the can itself. Using our 1/16 inch bit, we're going to drill our bridge hole on the opposite side from the sound holes we just made. This way it will be closer to the neck when we actually attach it with the holes we'll drill in a second. We have 2 more holes to drill in our body, and then we'll move on to drilling holes in the neck. So we find a point opposite our 2 sound holes, and that is where we're going to drill with our 3/32 of an inch bit. If you'd like, you can mark this. I've made several diddley bows, so I'm just freestyling it. Once these 2 holes are drilled, you can flip your can over to the sound hole side. Then you can test with a screwdriver to make sure that everything is lined up. You'll need to do this later when you use your wood screws to attach the body to the neck. Now we can take the body and lay it on the neck in its final placement. Then we will mark our smaller holes and drill pilot holes directly into the neck to make attaching this much easier. You can do this by sticking a pin down through both sets of holes and marking the wood, or you could use a drill bit and kind of mark the wood that way. Once you have those holes marked, you're going to drill 2 pilot holes, and remember, these are pilot holes. You don't want to go all the way through, just enough so that you can get your wood screws started and make them easier to attach. Before we attach the body, we're going to mark out the position of our machine head as well, which will make everything much easier once all the holes are drilled and prepared. So we are going to find the proper placement, making sure that when we place this, that our machine head will still be able to turn, and mark that with a pin or, again, a drill bit, a nail, whatever you have laying around. Once you have your hole marked and you know where to drill, we are going to lay down some wasteboard because this hole is going to go all the way through. So don't drill through your cutting mat or your table, lay down some scrap wood first. With that hole complete, we can now insert our machine head, and we want the hole for the string to be on the same side as the 2 pilot holes that we drilled a little bit earlier. With the machine head in place, we're going to mark the tiny hole where the machine head screw will go, and that will just hold this on the neck once we actually tension the string. So mark where that screw needs to go, drill a pilot hole, put the machine head back in, and screw that tiny little screw that came with the machine head into that hole. Or find a scrap screw lying around that's small enough to fit. Now your machine head is fully attached, and we're ready to move on to attaching the body. Make sure to turn the machine head and test it to be sure it works. Now we're ready to attach the body, which is arguably the trickiest part. I recommend pre-threading one of your wood screws into the can so that it sticks out a little bit and makes it easier to find the hole on the neck that you drilled earlier. Then we'll place the can on the neck, insert our screwdriver through the hole, and screw that screw down until the can is nice and tight on the neck. You can give it a little tug test to make sure that it doesn't move. We'll repeat the same process with the other hole and the other wood screw. Our diddley bow is essentially complete. Now all that's left to do is to string it up. So we'll pull our string through the bridge hole that we made earlier, and if it's a ball-end string that you're using, like from an old guitar, it should fit just fine. If it's a loop-end string, maybe from a banjo, you might need to add a screw that will act as a brace to hold the string in place. Pull the string through the hole in the tuner as tight as you possibly can, fold it back and under itself, bend it down to get it tight, and then turn the knob so that it gets tighter as you go. You then can add the nut and then tune this up to whatever note you want. This is an old string or maybe some old wire you found lying around, so the pitch will probably not be perfect, but it should give you some semblance of the note you're looking for. As always, it's a good idea to finish everything up with a little bit of sanding just to make the edges smoother, and if you decide to play this fretted like I am here, it won't hurt as much. Here's another quick example using some of the parts I showed you earlier, including that hook instead of a machine head and the plastic container instead of a can. Now use these skills and principles to make something a little bit larger with multiple strings and a bigger resonator. As always, thanks for watching, have fun, and keep making.